Hello, I'm Lucia, and today I am redrawing a manga page. I've seen a lot of people do this with like some older manga or like their first manga, but I'm doing it with Pandora Hearts, which ended a few years ago, I think 2012, something like that. And the art is gorgeous, so it's very intimidating to try and redraw it, but I wanted to because it's one of the only manga I read all the way through. I'm really terrible at getting myself to read things, but you know, I read the Pandora Hearts for the first time fully this year, or last year I guess. So I decided to pick a random page and redraw it. If you don't know what Pandora Hearts is or what it's about, it's basically about this kid who gets sent to the abyss, which is like a prison type thing, but it's not like a prison, it's an abyss where like bad people are supposed to go, and he has no idea why he was sent there. And he meets something called a chain, which are like monsters that live in the abyss, and she agrees to help him escape as long as he helps her find her missing memories, and it's a mystery. The whole thing. It's really good. I highly recommend. It's the first piece of media to ever make me cry, and I've been broken ever since. The page I picked to redraw is somewhat early on. I didn't want to pick anything that had too much like action because I'm not great at that, and I also didn't want to pick anything that had spoilers in it, which is a lot. So I picked one of the earlier chapters, and I also picked one with Elliot, who's one of my favorite characters, and I wanted to draw him. So yeah, it's just a scene where Alice was being weird and she sniffs Elliot and he's freaked out about it, and then Guild stops her and tells Elliot not to mess around with dangerous things. That's the page. I fully intended to record the sketch. That's long gone now. I think I'm doing liner right now here. But yeah, I fully intended to record the sketch, but I accidentally recorded the wrong screen. I have two screens. So I recorded the one that had my reference picture instead of the one where I'm actually drawing. I'm really sorry about that. I don't usually make mistakes like that because I'm really paranoid, but you know, it was bound to happen. So sorry you don't get to see the sketching part, but you get to see the line art, or line art. I did it a lot rougher than I normally would, just because I know comics take a long time, and I just didn't really want to do it as a full illustration. I wanted to see what it would look like if I were to make a comic. That's the art style it would be in, you know what I mean? So that's what I went with, because I do want to start a webcomic eventually. I've started working on one. I have no idea when I'll be able to actually like release it or whatever, but I've started working on one-ish. That being said, since I wanted it to be sort of how I would draw a comic, I also colored it in instead of doing the classic black and white manga style. So, you know, I'm glad that I did that as well, because I think the original art is gorgeous, and I am very clearly not at that skill level. So I wanted to feel like I was offering something to the page, if you know what I mean, something new and different, instead of just drawing it, you know, different skill level, if that makes any sense. I don't mean to be like harsh on my own art, but that's just how I felt. And you know, it's okay to not be at this particular skill level. You know, we're all learning and growing as people and as artists, so like, I'll get there eventually, probably, maybe. But yeah, I just wanted to feel like I was doing something for the page, so I did it in my own style as well as colored it. And I do like the way it turned out as its own piece. I don't love it compared to the original, just because again, the art is so pretty in that manga. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend, if not for the art alone, you know. I had a lot of difficulty coloring background stuff. Like, I have no idea how to do that in comics for some reason, because I wanted it all to look cohesive. So I did like a pinky purple type of thing for all the different backgrounds. And there's a lot of like empty space because like, you know, that makes sense not to draw a background in every single panel. But it made me not know what to do when they're like just a chair and then nothing in the background. I was like, what do I just color the chair? It made me a little bit confused, so I did it very simplified so that the characters stand out more, and then a truck. And then the pinkish purpley backgrounds. I definitely recommend trying this out for yourself. Pick a random manga page and redraw it. It helped me a lot with drawing things that are poses that I wouldn't normally do. I think in general things like comics and animatics do that for you because you're drawing a story, or like there's a motive behind the way they're moving, whereas when you draw just an illustration, at least for me, I just kind of draw them without any like moment behind the drawing, if that makes any sense. So yeah, it's really good practice for that sort of thing with poses and stuff. I don't think mine are that fluid in this, which means that I need to practice more. And doing things like this I think is a lot of help, especially when you have a clear reference of what that pose could or should look like, you know? So if you need practice with comics or just poses in general, this is a really fun exercise. Plus you get to draw characters you like. Yeah, I feel like I would like to do this again with other manga that I've read, which isn't that many, but you know. Also, I wanted to pick Pandora Hearts, another reason. My brain is jumping all over the place. The author who made Pandora Hearts also has a manga called Vanitas no Cart, which is getting an anime. So I haven't read that manga yet. I'm on chapter 1, but I'm excited for it. And my sister's a really big fan. So that's another reason to do Pandora Hearts. Maybe if Vanitas does well, Pandora Hearts can get an anime reboot, because the anime, I don't know if I'd recommend it compared to the manga for sure. Like, just skip the anime, read the manga. It's very good. Yeah, so maybe one day I'll do a Vanitas page or something else. Who's to say? Let me know if you want to see also like original comic speed paints. Like if I start a webcomic, would you like to see speed paints of those pages? I could do that, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I am working on that, so if you want to keep updated on that, follow me on Instagram, because I post about it on my story sometimes. And once I post the first chapter, I will talk about it there. I'll make a YouTube video about it too. I don't know when this is gonna be, but probably not for a while. Also, I don't normally talk about things that don't have to do with the video in the speed paint, but I want to do a video on animatics and how I do those. So if you have any questions, I made a community tab thing, so you can ask your questions there. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry this was a little short, but I'll see you next time. Bye!